Hello, everyone. Noah Villaverde here, host of Blank Green Canvas, and I am pleased to introduce to you the first episode of this WandaVision weekly recap series that I will be doing with my good friend John Maffeo AKA MaffmanJones. I gotta say, it's been a while since I've posted any content, whether it is my first video since October when I released that social network needing a sequel video essay, which, by the way, thank you so much for the response to that video. I am really appreciative of it, and I am looking forward to releasing new content. In fact, there will be an audio version of this podcast if you aren't listening to it already via Anchor.fm or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other podcast streaming services that there are out there for Blank Green Canvas. It's been a while, and I am so excited to be bringing back content to you on a weekly basis. So once again, stay tuned for some more videos on the way, which I discuss in this upcoming episode that you're about to watch and or listen to. And yeah, so without further ado, here is the newest episode of Blank Green Canvas. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blank Green Canvas. I am your host, Noah Villaverde, and it's been quite a long time. Haven't done an episode of this podcast since 2019 when me and my friends got together to talk about El Camino. And it's been a while since I've posted any video content since October with my social network video, which has surprisingly been doing pretty well since I've posted it. But I am glad to be here once again, relaunching the podcast. And joining me this week is a good friend of mine, John Maffeo. How are you doing,
Hello.
buddy?
Doing all right. Doing okay. Surviving everything going on right now. It's been a crazy past 24 months or so, even 12 months. But we're getting
I don't
through.
know
We're
what you're
in a new
talking about,
year.
man. What's going on?
The same
What's
old. I've
happened?
I've I've been working my day job.
Yeah.
I haven't been making videos. I've been very like dormant with that, but I'm starting to put groundwork in to start making new content. But I'm just watching a lot of movies, working during the day, watching movies at night, and just keeping that grind going in any way we can right now. It's been crazy
Of
though.
course, man. Well, that's great. Well, anyways, it's been the same thing for me too. Like, I haven't made a video since October, but I will say that I am currently working on a two-part video right now. During the Christmas time, I use it as an excuse because Soul was coming out to go through every single Pixar movie from release order. I did it because one, I needed some video inspiration because it's been a while, and two, Christmas time, I needed an excuse to watch something that made me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Usually you watch Christmas movies or stuff like that. I noticed a lot of people were like watching like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, which is I'm typical too. But I found it an excuse to look back at all the Pixar movies, some I haven't seen in a while, and it was all because of Soul. And you should expect to see those two videos very soon, this month, in fact.
Cool.
Anyways, so
Sounds like fun.
yeah. So, anyways, John and I are here this week because we are going to be discussing the latest new series from Marvel Studios and Disney Plus, and it will be WandaVision. You see, WandaVision was not supposed to be the first Phase 4 Marvel Studios project, actually. That was supposed to be Black Widow last year, but something happened. I don't know what caused all that stuff to be delayed.
Some
you
little
know,
thing that happened last year. Yeah.
something little, nothing. Yeah. But we have WandaVision, and as the title says, it's focused on Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, played by the lovely Elizabeth Olsen, and Vision, played by the great Paul Bettany. And I've been really intrigued by Marvel moving into the streaming world because of Disney Plus, obviously. We've seen Star Wars with The Mandalorian doing it to some pretty incredible success, I'd say. And I used it as an opportunity to look back at all the movies Wanda and Vision have been in. So I rewatched Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame again to catch up
Mhm.
on those characters whom I've loved in those movies. And I got to ask real quick, just quick thoughts overall on like MCU up till this point and where you hope this goes. John, are you looking forward to like what Marvel has in store with these new Disney Plus shows?
I am. I've been a fan since day one, since the first Iron Man came out. I've been super invested since then. I do think it's been like it's tremendous what they've done from 2008 on. But I think now that they've gotten to this point where they've kind of concluded this 10-year story, I do want to see them try more experimental things, which will, I guess we're leading into this now, but this is definitely experimental. But now that you work under Disney, you have all this money, you have all the success, why not try things that are different? Because you already have your audience on board. You have all these characters that people are invested in. Most, if not all these characters, there are people who enjoy. So why not try something different? Try something that maybe is a little bit polarizing, a little bit out there. But you at this point, if you are watching these movies and you don't trust what Kevin Feige or Marvel is doing, that it's, I don't know, even casual audiences, like everybody's in for this, and it's crazy that they can just release a show like this and promote it the way they're promoting it, and just be like, cool, this is what it is, hope you guys
Yeah.
enjoy it. And it's just interesting that Disney is letting them do that. But I am happy that they seem to be trying, because what I want to see that is just don't do traditional things anymore. Go out there, try something that's unorthodox, because I think people will be on, more people than not will be on board with it. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'm with you. And in fact, like looking back at the MCU, like we're so used to a certain pacing when it comes to those movies, like from Iron Man all the way up to Endgame or even Far From Home. You're
Hmm.
used to that type of a blockbuster formula, and I say this as somebody who has seen pretty much every single one of their movies on the big screen. The only one I missed was The Incredible Hulk. You know,
Hmm.
when it came to like my theatrical experiences with this franchise, I'm pretty big fan of it, and I know you were one of the first few audiences to see the Avengers back in
That
2012,
was such
right?
insane. I had no idea it was going to be that successful either after that. Like,
No.
because they weren't, I mean, they were successful movies, but they weren't that successful until Avengers came out and just popped the lid off completely, I feel like.
Remember when we thought back then, wow, it can't get bigger than this, right?
You're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way it can get bigger than Iron Man. Like, Thor and Captain America are cool, but like, the Avengers? How good could it possibly be?
Yeah, like I have pretty fond memories of that time in particular, like that movie and everything that came afterwards. You know, like I'm pretty excited for what they have in store. And yeah, sure, like some of their shows seem to be more like movies, but longer because I'd say WandaVision seems like it's tailor made for television, given what it's all about, really.
Yeah,
You know, because I see trailers, you know, for Falcon and Winter Soldier, that looks like a movie.
it
Like
does
that
look.
looks like a full blown actual movie that's centered on Falcon and Winter Soldier and
Mm-hmm,
Loki, even to another extent. Maybe that fits more television. Kind of gave me like Doctor Who vibes a little bit from
mm-hmm.
that trailer, you know, but still looked more cinematic with the VFX so far. Whereas WandaVision so far feels very much for TV so far. But that's based on the first two episodes that we were given. And let's just talk about those first two episodes. And by the way, for those who haven't caught up on the first two episodes of WandaVision, which are available now on Disney Plus, we're going to be getting into some spoilery filled detail on these first two episodes. So, right off the bat, John, for those who saw the trailer for the show, everyone knows that the first episodes will be focused more on the 4:3 black and white classic television format, paying tribute to shows like I Dream of Ginny and I Love Lucy, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's apparent from the beginning with the classic intro and the theme song by Bobby and Christina Lopez of Frozen fame
It's a nice
and
touch.
Avenue Q and everything else. Like you can't go wrong with them doing music. And instantly, like if you had no idea who Vision and Wanda are, you would probably think, oh, this is just an interesting take on, like that classic television.
Mm-hmm.
So like when it started for you, like getting back into the MCU, first off, how nice was it to see that intro again? It's been a
It felt
really
like,
long year.
it sounds corny, but it felt like home. You know what I mean? Like, you feel like it is very comforting, just like because it brings back a swarm of memories, and the fanfare for that intro is like so good. And Michael Giacchino, I think, composed that, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he composed it. But yeah, it feels like welcome home. We know you've missed us. Let's get back into the fuzz.
Yeah, it was updated with all the new footage from the old movies, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
as it began, it's a fun. it's a fun little intro. Like, if we're being honest, like these first two episodes, there's not really a lot there in regards to plot. It's kind of a throwback to classic TV. Uh, like so Wanda and Vision, they're a married couple, and this takes place after Endgame, by the way.
Yeah,
So obviously, people who are aware, Vision is kind of not alive. So
kinda. He completely did.
he
If we go
did,
by the end of
but
Infinity War,
he did, at least
that
by
dude was
from
pulled
Infinity War
out of his
tells
head.
us.
Hmm.
Literally, like how crazy is it that Thanos actually? It's not enough that Wanda had to witness the love of her life die. She had to witness him die twice.
Yeah, it's
That's
completely
that's
heartbreaking.
brutal.
And by the way, even if you weren't on board with their love story for those movies, I think they do a good job of connecting them with that moment. I don't want to divert too far from that.
Sure.
If
So
you don't
that's
want to.
the yeah, that's true. But like when it came to that, it was nice seeing them back together again. For one, it's really happy. It makes you feel a little warm inside knowing that Wanda and Vision obviously had a really sad ending
Yeah,
with their relationship, really tragic. And like the show, like it's a typical like classic old 50s sitcom, like we mentioned. And we see like Wanda and Vision, they've gotten married, they have their own home life together. There's some fun little gags here and there. I gotta say, Elizabeth Olsen fits in perfectly in that Lucille Ball kind of role, like
yeah.
perfectly.
I don't know how much she did research for that, but it seems like just the mannerisms, the inflections in her voice, the way she moves around, and Paul Bettany too. They both seem to have it
Yeah.
down of how to connect and play off that vibe. And I feel like if I showed this to like older folks in my family, they'd probably like without context, they'd probably be like, "Wow, did this come out back then? No, this is new. Oh,
Yeah,
okay."
they did a really good job at doing it that way. Like right from the intro and then going into the 4:3 format, like and everything else into black and white. Like it really
Yeah,
throws you into that. Like I watched it the instant it dropped with my mom, and we were both pretty tired, but I was pretty excited because I just finished Endgame, and like 20 minutes later, the new episodes just dropped. So getting excited for some new Marvel content after a long, long year. Getting into it all, like I was just so happy to see these characters. And it's cool, like we mentioned earlier, it's so cool that Marvel is at a place where they could use these two characters who otherwise would not have their own standalone property, given how they promote their movies, but giving them their own show. It just goes to show how much they've succeeded in bringing these obscure characters into the A-list almost at
yeah.
this point.
It's
Like
unprecedented with Marvel for sure.
yeah, and a quick shout out in regards to the first episode to their neighbor played by Catherine Hahn, whom I love.
She's
Love her
like
in a lot of
tailor made for a show like this. It
she
feels
fits
like.
perfectly. Like she basically plays their quirky next door neighbor who gets pretty close with Wanda and gives her some advice in regards because Wanda and Vision, there's like this on the 23rd on their calendar, there's a heart on it, and they have no idea what it means, like what it signifies. And you think, oh, is it their anniversary of some sorts? What kind of anniversary is it? And it turns out that the heart was actually made because of Vision's boss. I forget. I think his last name was Hart. Him and his wife,
Was it?
like they had
I
to
didn't
come.
pick up on that.
Yeah, well, they had to come over because Vision is working for this guy, and he might get a promotion through him. So he has to invite them over for dinner, and typical like shenanigans ensue as you'd expect. And Wanda was talking with Catherine Hahn's character, her neighbor, about like ways to spice up their supposed anniversary, which it turns out not to be, which
Mm,
leads to some funny little gags here and there, which leads to like some really this is where the VFX start to take place, given the old throwback with like her trying to cook all the meals that are needed for the dinner time. Like I gotta give a
yeah, and
shout
the
out to
way they
Paul
like
Bettany.
edited
Yeah.
cuts, the little things that's on string, like invisible strings with all the
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of just fun. It's just fun to see them try like that kind of thing and try to keep the practicality in there of how would they have done this in 1950 whatever if they made this show
Yeah.
then.
Right down to the laugh track. Apparently they shot these episodes in front of a live studio audience to make it feel more accurate in that regard.
Yeah, that's
So
insane attention to detail and authenticity of what they're trying to accomplish there.
indeed. And things start to get a little more intense in this first episode when Vision's boss starts choking and when his boss's wife
Definitely.
starts saying, "Stop it." Like it that was
Over and over
intense,
again.
right? That was
That's it's our first glimpse into like the freaky like shit that's going on behind the scenes of
Absolutely.
whatever we're about to find out later on in the show.
Oh yeah, and you could tell from there. Remember, there's no action like at all so far, like what we'd expect from a superhero kind of movie or show.
Hmm.
And just the intensity of that one moment alone gives you a sense of what's to come, particularly what's going on with Wanda.
Yeah.
Like just goes to show how great of an actress Elizabeth Olsen is, how she could really sell like her own turmoil
Yeah.
just in that little moment alone where she realizes something's up and she's trying to tell Viz to take care of it and
Hmm.
everything. But like overall, like in the first episode, there isn't like in the same with the second episode, which might have a little more to reveal as we get there. There isn't too much to talk about in regards to plot, but the way I got to say, the final shot of this episode was very eerie. Like,
The one when they're on the couch together and they smile at the camera, and it kind
yes,
of
and
pulls out
the
to the.
slow, it was done brilliantly. The way it brilliantly reveals where this show is being like actually being screened.
Hmm.
And it turns out like you see the logo for Sword, which hold on real quick. Let me
So apparently it has connect.
yeah.
It's basically the shield of space, I think, is what it
Yes.
comes down to.
Yes. In fact, it was actually created by Joss Whedon and who else? Yeah,
When
Joss
when
Whedon
he wrote
and
the
John
Astonishing X-Men and stuff like
Cassidy.
that.
Yeah, Astonishing X-Men, which speaking of which, comic book nerds like you and me know who Wanda's father is in the
Ah,
comics.
yeah. Will we find that out in this freaking show this season? Are they gonna do
I
that
gotta.
here?
We'll get to something that crossed my mind in the second episode, but also I wanted to give a quick shout out to that funny little commercial they had in the middle of the episode
Oh, Tony,
with the
so like
toaster.
Stark Industries toast.
Yeah, like it's just kind of tying in with the interwoven nature of the MCU. It's those little things that make us fans excited, But
Yeah,
that was the first episode, and now let's just talk about that second episode, which is a continuation of the throwback theme. This one feels more like Bewitched, actually, right down to the cartoon intro that they have
yeah.
and
That
everything.
and that intro was brilliant. I loved it, and I love it. It just felt like it's perfectly animated too.
Indeed, like so the first episode felt like it was 50s style, and then this one it goes to the next decade, which is more 60s style. So they're in their house and they are trying to prepare for this magic act talent show that they have, and they're in the town, and it's meant for like I think fundraising for the kids, I believe, like school, elementary
For
school,
the
if I can
children,
remember.
and there's no
Oh, the
children
children.
anywhere.
That was what caught me off guard also a little bit. But yeah, so we're now in the 60s, which is still black and white in the format, and so it's a neighborhood talent show. So Wanda, and so like she's part of this planning committee, and Vision ends up going to a neighborhood watch meeting, and in that neighborhood watch meeting, Vision makes some funny jokes, like he even calls one of his members in that team a communist for a moment, which
Oh yeah.
plays into that whole era, because of like the Red Scare and everything else.
Hmm.
And he ends up swallowing some chewing gum, and as you know, Vision can't eat at all because he's a
The
robot,
robot. Yeah.
and so
It
shenanigans
was.
ensue. And I love the animation that they
Yeah.
use to, like, again, like the Bewitched
Perfect. It's
style thing,
perfect. I'm not gonna lie, like
right?
the way Marvel integrated, like even though it's very low stakes with what they're setting up in the confines of this TV show they're making, I was still like invested in these little things, like the boss's dinner and like the chewing gum with Vision. I'm like, I actually cared about that, even though
Right.
it's like kind of low stakes compared to what's really happening.
Yes, indeed. That was cool. And going back to Wanda and her meeting that she has with the planning committee for the talent show, um, like she's trying to fit in, obviously, and she's having a hard time trying to fit in. And then she ends up meeting this woman named Geraldine. Now,
Mm.
I don't know if you know this, John, but do you know who Geraldine is actually supposed to be?
She's supposed to be that little girl that Captain Marvel hung out with, right?
And yes, indeed.
In the 90s.
And
She's
yeah,
now
from
a
the 90s,
grown
she's all
ass
grown
woman.
up now. She's all
Hmm.
grown up now. And sure, she calls herself Geraldine here, but she's actually Monica Rambeau, the daughter of Maria Rambeau, who was Captain Marvel's best friend back in the 90s.
Hmm.
And she's all grown up. And we don't know how that's going to factor into the show yet, but it's just another way for Marvel to just tease fans with what's to come, the mystery of it all.
Yeah.
So they have their meeting and everything else, and then Vision and Wanda have to come back together to put on this magic show of sorts, which plays up the fun gags of the awkwardness that they both have trying to hide their powers from their neighbors and
Yeah.
friends and all. As you'd expect from the '60s style show, like him floating in the air, which is so blatant. Like, how can their neighbors not know that at this point? Like, come on, they're heroes,
There's
they're
fans
superheroes.
underneath the ground.
Maybe. There's just it plays into those gags, which is because Vision is malfunctioning due to the fact that he has gum stuck inside him and
Hmm.
everything else, which leads one to really like nervous and uncertain about how things are going and
Yeah.
everything. And like they have some fun with those things, and right down to the final act with the big disappearing trick where Geraldine comes out of there and everything else,
Hmm.
which just plays up the whole fun mystery thing. They even get awarded for best comedic performance because their committee believes that their magic performance was just a big humorous send up of it,
Yeah.
believe it
Big
or
hoot.
not.
Hmm.
So it's again like this second episode kind of plays up more with that kind of format of the genre of like paying tribute to the decades. But there were two moments in this episode that showcase there's a lot of more uncertainty to come. For
Yeah.
example, early on in the episode, we see the first hint of color in this black and white world,
The little
where we see
plane.
like a yellow and red toy helicopter, which
Helicopter. Yeah.
adds a lot of uncertainty, especially for Wanda, because Wanda probably knows in the back of her head something's not right
Yeah.
and everything else. And I have my theory in regards, and I'm curious to see what you think about
I
that.
have I
But
have I
then
have an
there's
idea
yeah,
too.
we'll get to that. And they go home, and we see that Wanda is pregnant now.
Just
She's
like
pregnant,
just like that.
just like that. Yeah, like however that works, biologically, I don't know. But obviously, this is the Marvel universe, so anything can happen.
Vision had a little too much fun.
Maybe. And then all of a sudden, something is up, and they go outside, and Wanda and Vision see this beekeeper from that comes from this manhole. And I got
Very
to admit,
creepy.
it was really late at night, and for some reason in my head, I thought the guy in the beekeeper suit looked like Michael Fassbender,
Just
just
like
for
the
like a
way it
split
looked.
second. Just for a split second, I was like, no, no. And I was like, no, that can't be. It can't
Yeah.
be. And it's not. It's not. He comes from the manhole, and then Wanda is horrified. So she kind of rewinds everything back to reality.
Goes no.
So I was like, nope, screw this. I'm not going to deal with this.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, we see them back in the house. She's still pregnant. And then Vision starts turning into color, Technicolor, in fact. And then now the
They're
setting
both
that
aware
they're
of it
in,
too.
they're both aware of it. Like, whoa, Vision, what's going on? And then now it's all colorful, Technicolor, 1970s style. So the next episode we'll see next Friday will be set in the 70s, I believe. So it's going to be more colorful, more playing tribute to that era.
Probably like the
And
Brady Bunch and
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. And also another throwback to that commercial that they had in the middle of this episode, which is a commercial for a watch that is from Strucker,
Really
whom,
like
if you
Von
know,
Strucker.
yeah, yeah, like from the movies he was in the end of Winter Soldier and in Age of Ultron. He was doing
Hmm.
the experiments and tests on Wanda and her brother,
Yeah.
Quicksilver. Pietro. So there's that. And then as the episode ends, you hear somebody in the background saying, "Wanda, Wanda, what's going on? What you doing?" And everything else. I had no idea who that voice was. Did
Did
you
you look up? I found
wonder
out who it is.
who was it?
It's apparently it's Randall Park, who played
Oh,
the spy role in the Ant-Man movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
right. Yeah, I know he's in this. I know he's in the show, but I didn't know that was his voice.
Yeah. I
So
forgot. Does he work for Shield though? I don't forgot what his affiliation is
I
with
don't
those
remember
films.
either, but like it's him. That's interesting to hear. And
Yeah.
in regards to all of that, are the first two episodes of WandaVision. And for many of you that may know, WandaVision is set to be the first chapter of this big multiverse saga that the MCU is looking to explore, because they announced back in 2019 that WandaVision would be leading into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Elizabeth Olsen's going to be in that, but also another film in that series will tie into it with the third Spider-Man film, which is probably going to be the greatest movie ever made,
Oh my god.
based off of rumors. But that's a
Yeah.
whole other podcast for another time. But I'm really excited to see how all of this ties in. But I will say, like, I'm really intrigued with where WandaVision is headed, and the fact that it's very specifically a TV show. It feels
Yeah.
less cinematic. It feels specific for television, which, in retrospect, actually feels like the best way for Marvel to kind of bring in their first new thing in over a year. And I'm
Yeah.
introducing us to this world of Disney Plus
It's
streaming shows,
refreshing.
and yeah, most definitely. So overall, like, what are your biggest takeaways, John, from these first two episodes, and what do you most look forward to?
Uh, well, you say what you said, but I feel like we're in like the first act of the story they're telling for WandaVision specifically for these first few episodes. Um, and I'm just looking forward to seeing the evolution of the tiny breadcrumbs they've been feeding us with these first two episodes. That's so tiny. And seeing
Right.
how that expands into, are we really going to get a new era for each episode? Or are we going to slowly turn into like a full-fledged story? Are we going to like break out of this television box and get a little less meta midway through, maybe even towards the end, or this is going to be the whole way? I want to see how we get Captain Han, how much more to integrate her into the story, surprise people that they might bring into here. I heard episode 3 is a doozy from people who got their screeners, and
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
because the
opens a big can of
screeners were the
worms.
first three episodes. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm really excited with what they have so far. It was interesting because this is going to be 9 episodes, and
9.
because 9 episodes, they just put the first two. I think they put the first two together because, admittedly, they're very similar
Yeah,
overall.
it made
You
sense.
know, so it made sense. Like, it's not like I'm curious if this show is going to be kind of like a mystery, which I appreciate, which is going to make the weekly release schedule more intriguing. I got to say, I'm happy that Disney Plus is doing that with their shows, the weekly
It it
thing.
it, it gives you it makes the conversation around the show a lot more fun and a lot more engaging because you have that whole week to digest what you watched. Like I love the binging idea that's been around from Netflix for a while, but
Yeah.
there's something more engaging about being able to just let an episode soak in for a whole week.
Yeah, it's bringing back the whole water cooler kind of
Yeah,
discussion and everything else. And that
exactly.
worked wonders with The Mandalorian, both first two seasons, especially
Hmm.
this last season. Good God,
Oh my
like
god,
how
every single
incredible
week.
is that? Like every single week, I'm like on pins and needles ready for what's coming. And right
Hmm.
now, it's more of like, okay, it's a nice appetizer, these first two episodes. I feel like if they gave us the first three, like what you said, apparently it's a doozy, I would be like, ooh, I need it now. But I'm glad it's a nice change of pace because we're so used to the Marvel movies being so fast paced in their own ways
Yeah,
and everything else because of the blockbuster format. And I'm thankful that they're experimenting with a different kind of pacing. I'm curious to see how it works with Falcon and Winter Soldier and with Loki, which is
yeah.
crazy because by the time this is done, this first season of
We
WandaVision,
we jump right
I,
into it, right?
yeah, like about 2 or so weeks. It's the same month because it ends March 5th, and then March 16th, I believe, is when Falcon and Winter Soldier starts. So we just have a bit of a buffer there.
And then
But
similar with
yeah, like,
Loki, right? Because I think Loki is in May, if I'm
yeah.
right.
Oh, wow. Wow. That,
So we're
like,
like
these
nonstop
three shows
Marvel.
are, yeah, on top of the movies like Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and The Eternals. Man, like this is going to be the most Marvel and Spider-Man, obviously. Like this is
Yeah,
going to be the most heavy Marvel year we've had, partially because 2019 was a year without movies in general, like we're the theater. And I'm eager to return back to this wonderful universe that I've loved from being a comic book fan and being a fan of the movies, obviously. Particularly excited for Spider-Man for obvious reasons, as I'm
oh
sure
yeah.
you are.
The
And
rumors are very heavy for that movie. Hopefully they're true.
very heavy. I kind of sort of don't want them to release trailers,
No,
honestly.
sure. Just put out a poster
Like,
with just Tom Holland on it and say it's
and
coming
say
out this
nothing. Don't say anything. Just say, yeah, this movie's coming out. That, like with the whole streaming service surge that we're in, like with the HBO Max situation, like you heard about the news about Godzilla and Kong, right?
That's it got moved up 2 months, and they got the papers going that they could release it simultaneously, right? in
Yes.
theaters
Yeah.
and on
And
HBO Max.
we only have like a 2 second clip. Honestly, just throw out a poster. I don't want to
Yeah,
see a trailer for this because the odds are, given how things are going out, like I probably won't be able to see this in a theater. Given
yeah,
the
same here.
situation we're in, unless I have
Mhm.
to drive a far way. And I would love to see this movie on the big screen because it's Godzilla and Kong. And if I had a theater near me, I would. But given the way that things are for the year, and the more I think about it, I feel like Warner Brothers is just gonna keep this a year after all the fallout of it. You
Things could
know,
change, I think, but it wouldn't surprise me either if it swings that way, where once everybody gets vaccinated, they kind of start slowly opening up all the theaters again for
I'm trying to hedge my
2022.
bets because I'm still like I'm kind of cautious about everything at the
Yeah,
moment. But yeah, like I kind of don't want to see a trailer. Like I just kind of want to watch it. Like I just want to see how that works out. Like I typically don't watch trailers for smaller movies or like awards movies. The ones that are competing for the big stuff because usually like they show a lot, those trailers,
yeah,
and I
they're
like
trying to
to
sell their movie, and
yeah.
apparently,
And for me it's like I'm gonna go see it already because it seems like a really exciting like independent project, and I kind of just want to let it happen. And it's
mhm,
harder to avoid for big movies like the Marvels and the DCs and the Star Wars movies of the world. But I'm trying to stay away from trailers in general because I like to go into things blind now,
yeah,
and like I'm curious to see where things go with WandaVision just to wrap things up. And I'm excited to continue this journey every week and to recap these every week. I'm really happy, John, that you had a chance to come with me this week to reintroduce this podcast and to just talk about Marvel and WandaVision for a
yeah.
little bit.
Thank you for reminding me, man. I always have a great time talking with you, and it's always fun talking about these movies and especially Marvel. It's just such a great playground to be in.
Yes, indeed. And before we wrap up, where can people find you? What you got up to in the late, like, just what you got up to in the next few weeks? It's been
um,
a long.
yeah. You can find me everywhere at MaffmanJones, M-A-2-F's Man Jones, no spaces. As I mentioned before, I've been pretty dormant on the YouTube channel, but you can find me at MaffmanJones on YouTube. I will be releasing my top 10 of 2020 soon. I've been kind of just like taking my time curating that list because I missed out on a couple big movies. I finally watched them, and now I feel ready to release what I felt was a proper top 10. And besides that, I'm starting to put on the pieces to put more videos out there. But hopefully you just follow me for the hijinks and go on the ride that will be 2021.
Yes, indeed. I've missed out on a lot of films in 2020 also. I just kind of been that whole year, like
Yeah.
the less said about it the better. But I definitely intend on catching up more on some of those releases I've missed out on, and like just what else is to come for 2021. And yeah, so once again, you could actually look forward to a two-part Pixar retrospective video coming this month. What the first part I will say will be coming sometime this week. The second part a week later, and I'm really looking forward to putting that out there. And once again, guys, I've been Noah of Blank Green Canvas, and this has been John Maffeo,
Thank
Maffman
you again for
Jones.
having me.
I will see
Oh,
you
yeah.
again in the next recap. Thank you very much. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Bye, everybody.